This is Feminist Wellness, and I'm your host, nurse practitioner, functional medicine expert, and life coach, Victoria Albina. I'll show you how to get unstuck, drop the anxiety, perfectionism, and codependency so you can live from your beautiful heart. Welcome, my love. Let's get started. Hello, hello, my love. I hope this finds you doing so well. This week, I am beyond delighted to share a conversation I recently had with the ever-amazing Ali Zamora, in which we talk about her experience recognizing and overcoming codependent thinking in her life and how she transformed her relationship with herself and her relationships in the world by coming into deep and profound self-love. Her story, a case study in overcoming codependency, is super inspiring, and I'm so thrilled to share it with you today, my love. So without further ado, Ali. Hello, hello, Ali.
Hi.
I'm so delighted to be here with you today.
I'm so excited to be here. And for this conversation, I was looking forward to it. So
Me too, for sure. So I would love it if you could start us off by introducing yourself to the good people, telling us your name and pronouns, where you live, sharing a land acknowledgement if you know whose land you're on, and tell us what lights you up. What are you passionate about?
Yeah. So my name is Ali Zamora. I am Latina. I'm 33. And I live on occupied Serrano territory here in Redlands, California. I'm a Libra sun, Cancer moon, Sag rising. If you want
I
to
love you did the big three. I love it. Unprompted though also.
Hey, I had good practice, you know.
I mean.
I think honestly, like that has been even a portion of me learning what lights me up, you know, really understanding who I am. I'm definitely passionate about helping other people. I really think that I've really set into understanding that I'm a healer.
Yeah.
And I work as a nurse practitioner in family medicine here in San Bernardino County. And I'm growing and learning every single day. And I think it's been a real journey being here and working in this area. It's really opened me up to seeing so much more of why I was put here on this earth. And I think that that has also been a portion of really what I feel embodied to and me understanding that part of exactly that, like what gets me excited, what lights me up, what moves me forward.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. I love that because I feel you know, we do such heavy lifting in Anchored. Right? There's so much deep work. There's so much crying there, right?
Yes.
Right?
Yep.
And I feel like you really embodied the yin of that yang, right? The light of that shadow, which is stepping into your passion, your excitement, your joy. Because like, why else are we doing this healing work?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, definitely. Gosh, finding Anchored. I could tell this story over and over and over and over again. It really excites me so much. Because I feel like the universe, Pachamama, brought this all together. I was in such a hard place. I think for most of my life, I knew there was like a dark looming cloud always over me. And I think I learned to just function in that. It's almost like an addict, you know, like they function in their own way. And I feel like I function with depression. And so I knew that something just wasn't right for so long. I'd been going to therapy, not feeling better, trying to understand where did this all start? Where did this come from? How can I feel better? And nothing was connecting for me. And I remember walking out of my therapist's office, October 2020, going, there's got to be something else. There's got to be something else. I want to feel better. You know, what can I do? And so I think that really sparked a journey for me. And then I had been just reading this blog from this website that I follow. And here they are interviewing Victoria Albina. And she's talking about, you know, how to work with codependency. And so that was something that I knew for so long, but people would say to me, even my therapist would say, you're codependent, as in you are.
Yeah. The old
And
label.
yeah. And I loved your language in that interview was just like their thought patterns and behaviors are not who you are. And so I kept reading on and I was checking in on your website. I didn't even know you had a podcast yet. And so they had a breathwork meditation at the end. And I think it was like the short one that you have.
Yeah.
And it was New Year's Day, 2021. And I was like, I'm going to try this out. And I'm like, that sound that comes out of me, that's really where it comes from. Like, I was like, that's what felt like, oh my God, this is it for me right here. I'm like, so how do I find her? And I need to know more. And so you talked about your website. So I went and checked it out. And that's when I found out that you were doing the 6-month program with Anchored. And I was like, I gotta do this. I gotta do this for myself. There was like no question about it. And I knew that I was at a place in my life where I was ready to choose me. So yeah, it was really, really exciting. And yeah,
and here we are.
Yes. And here we are.
And here we are. Yeah. I know. It's so beautiful. So you shared that your therapist, other people in your life were like, you are codependent. And I'm curious what that looked like before Anchored.
Catches me in my feels. Yeah, because that, I feel like that's always a part of you and something that can be activating.
Yeah.
It made me feel like I was so dependent on other people for validation and worth and love. Like I had to rely on other people. That's what codependency was told to me as. Like, that's how it was described to me. Like a problem. Like you have a problem. Almost like telling somebody you have diabetes.
Right.
Yeah. That's what I felt like. And I was like, okay, well, how do I treat this? And no one could tell me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's your relationship to that term, to that label now after Anchored?
I have so much tenderness for that now. When I hear the word itself, codependent, in my mind, there's no attachment for me to that word, but I give it so much tenderness because it helped me to experience something so profound in what the pain feels like of that. And now when I think about it, I'm like, those are thought patterns and behaviors, and they are not who I am.
Yes. Yeah. It's so powerful to drop that label.
Oh, right? Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And not knowing, like, you go through your life feeling some type of way and not knowing what that is. What is that feeling? And then you find out in your adulthood, oh, that's codependency.
Right.
Oh, okay. So that's what I've been living with. Okay. Well, how do I not be codependent?
Right. You're right. How do I veto this? Pretty much.
Right. Yeah. But you're almost like, it's almost a place of like acceptance too, of like, okay, yeah. Yep. So I have these thought patterns and behaviors. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So if you think before Anchored, before 2021, this painful codependent experience, how is it showing up in your life concretely, in your relationships with your family, at work, in romance?
Those thought patterns and behaviors really affected every aspect of my life. When I was actually reading through, I have like a folder of like the workbooks and everything that we've done. And I was reading back and I had read about how it affected me physically, spiritually, mentally, financially, in so many different ways. I mean, I was always like outsourcing, always seeking out experiences to find how I could feel more worthy. I wasn't having successful relationships with anyone, really. I always felt like there was something missing. And I found it odd, I was like, well, I'm really great with my career, with school, everything works out there. But it was in these relationships that I could see that it was really affecting that. And so always seeking validation from other people. I think there's a good example of that even under like with work. I was always so focused on other people's well-being and people pleasing. So I wanted to make sure that I was the best nurse, that people could depend on me. But, there was that underlying, well, I wanted an applause. I wanted to be like, yeah, you were a good girl. Good job, And I could see that actually had followed me throughout my entire life. And I was always, always, always attached to that idea of someone telling me I was good enough.
Yeah. I love what you just shared, that, there's this difference between wanting to do a really good job, wanting to show up and take care of people, and doing it from wanting them to do emotional labor for us.
Yeah.
Right. Because of course you want to be a good nurse. Of course you bevel up, right? Of course you want to
yes.
right, give the right meds at the right time and do all the things well.
Yeah.
But the different, I can feel it in my body. It's like this heaviness in my chest when I think about doing it. So that the patient will say, oh, that was the most painless IV I've ever gotten. Or, wow, you really did a great job changing that catheter, right?
Yes. And tenfold, I was there for those experiences. I remember really just waiting to be like, did I do it right?
Yeah. Yeah. Am I going to get that applause?
Yes.
Yeah. It's such a outward, external way to live, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And how is it different now? How do you show up at a ver.
You see my smile?
Yeah, we can all hear your smile, see your smile. It's magnificent.
How I show up now for myself is showing up for myself. I choose me every step of the way. I attune to my body. I start with so much self-care, and seeing what that looks like for me is, I wish someone could take video of the day that I go through just to see how present I am now. I think I lived in my head so much. I was always so fixated on the other. What do they think about me? How is that showing up for me? So outside of myself. And now, every aspect of my life is, how is it feeling in here?
Yeah. And would you say that's made you a better nurse, a better nurse practitioner, a better daughter?
Yeah. Most definitely.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. I feel within the last year, I have been able to show up so much more for my patients, and really being able to see them and be with them.
Yeah.
And for my family, for my friendships, really understanding what building your tribe means, and having those people to support you and creating healthy relationships. That has been something that I've been witnessing so much. And I think it also has so much to do with the community that you built for us and Anchored. Yeah, that was something that I really valued so much, is to come to a place where others felt like me. And where everyone was so accepting and loving of one another, and we could hold space, and learning what that even means. What does holding space for each other look like?
Yeah.
It's not something we're taught.
Right. Yeah. I just think it's just interesting. How would you define holding space? What does that feel like for you?
That feels like coming from a loving place of no judgment. Just allowing people to be exactly who they are.
Right.
Not attaching your own thoughts, feelings on them.
Yes.
Not taking it personal when they have something to share.
Right. Yeah.
It really comes from just being with them.
What you just said and what you said previously about how you're showing up as a better clinician and a better partner, lover, child, dog mom, all the things.
Yes.
Right? There's something in there. So often I hear this concern of if I put my focus on me, if I step out of these codependent people pleasing, where I'm going, right? If I step out of this, I will become this selfish, self-centered asshole who doesn't care about anyone.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah.
What just sparked for you? Because your face just lit up.
I know. Yeah. I think that for a lot of us, and I know I'm speaking for myself right now because I've walked this out.
Yeah.
And coming to choosing anchored, I was at a very interesting time of awareness where it was like, go to school and get my doctorate or go to school to learn about me. And when I look at that now, I think the more selfish act was really choosing school. Yeah, because I feel like we as a society have been so taught to be so disconnected from ourselves. And that's how it gets painted. Oh, doing X, Y, and Z for yourself makes you so selfish, self-centered, but really loving yourself is where it all begins. That's how you show up more as your authentic self. If you can ground yourself and understand who you are as a person and what you're doing here.
Yeah. Right. Because from there, you're embodied more and more.
Yeah.
And from there, you can hold that non-judgmental space that you were talking about.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Which then allows other people to be themselves.
Correct.
And to be honest and open. Yeah.
Yeah. Because when you're detached from yourself, I mean, you're not your most loving self.
Right.
You're coming from not knowing who you are, insecurity, depression, anxiety, all these emotions that I feel like are so far removing you from who you are.
Right. And so again, what you said, then you take things personally, then you make things about you.
Yes.
I don't know if you've experienced this in clinic. I'm going to take a wild guess you have, but man, jeepers creepers. I know that when my patient, and like, this is so cringy, right? But when they weren't adherent, when they didn't follow my plan, I would have judgment of them.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Right. I'd be like, well, if they'd just done what I said, then their A1C wouldn't be 8.
Yeah.
Right. Which was like, I bring compassion, love, and care to the me that didn't know any differently. And I'm so grateful. I know a more loving way to be a clinician, to be a coach, to be a human in the world now. But because I wasn't grounded in me, I took what I saw as their failure personally, made it my failure, and judged the shit out of both of us. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. Which then also led me to not see the impact of the patriarchy, white settler colonialism, late stage capitalism on the reason why that person couldn't make the changes to bring down their, and for those listening who aren't clinicians, hemoglobin A1C is one of the diabetes markers. 8's pretty darn bad.
Yeah.
But I wasn't able to ask questions like, what's going on with their inner children?
Yeah.
Right? What stress, trauma is keeping them eating whatever they're eating.
Yeah.
Right? What's going on with their vagus nerve and their nervous system that's keeping their endocrine system from functioning optimally? Because when we look at the studies of adverse childhood experiences, we know that stress, distress, and trauma in the body, it F's up the endocrine system. It F's up the immune system. It has physiologic implications.
Yes.
And there's so much codependent thinking in medicine.
Yes. Yes.
We should do a nurses roundtable episode.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
Yeah, let's do it. Because there's other nurses and physicians and PAs and PTs. There's all sorts of medical professionals, therapists, social workers who are part of Anchored because we are drawn to the helping. Right. Yeah. We're like, how can I help? How can I dedicate my life to selflessly giving? Right.
Yes.
Yeah. All right. We'll do that. We'll keep an eye out for that. That'll be a good one. Yeah. So what were your favorite takeaways from being an Anchored?
My first one already.
I do. Oh, I
breath
do.
Work. Most definitely. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's everything for me.
Yeah.
that's my medicine.
Yeah.
That's how I feel. I will rearrange my whole schedule to be there.
I love it.
I had to like tell a date one time, like, hey, sorry, I can't. I have breath work. Sorry.
I love that priority. You're like, you're cute, but breathwork's cuter. Yeah, I'm cuter. So,
but breathwork really, really changed a lot for me, helping me ground.
Yeah.
And regulate. But, that's just one of the things. Other things that I loved so much about being a part of Anchored was the community, weekly coaching calls, and just being able to witness others getting coached was always so helpful.
Yeah.
You think like, oh, I'm not getting coached, but you are.
You are.
Because as we all come to this container, there's something that we're seeing in the other person that, we got to work on.
Right.
I don't know. For me, honestly, Vic, I loved everything. Telling you, I was on it. I had my notebook and I had my journaling. I even have my personal journal
I love
with me.
That.
But yeah, everything I feel like was so valuable to me. And I think just the essence of what Anchored is really just really, really choosing yourself in all areas of your life. And I think that each piece for me was that.
Right.
Yeah.
What did you enjoy about working with me as your coach?
Oh my gosh. I was like, I'm going to get bashful now. Oh my gosh. I realized very, very early on that there was something so maternal about you that my soul was so calling out to. And what I loved so much was that you showed me in the way that you speak with us and the way that you interact with us and your language of how to treat myself, how to talk to myself. And I'm so grateful for the whole program, the whole experience, all of this, because I'm now able to show up in that way for myself. And you really helped me to come back home to me. Yeah.
I'm curious what you are doing now that helps you continue to feel connected, empowered, to continue to grow. I talk about how the changes that we make in Anchored are sustainable changes. Can you speak to that?
Yeah. So within Anchored, one of the first things was learning how to feel your feelings. And I think that we can all say, none of us really know how to feel our feelings. And we don't even know what feelings are. I remember you asking us to okay, write out, what feelings are you having? And I had 3 things. And I think that, in the journey of Anchored, as we're learning boundaries, we're learning self-care, we're learning the thought work protocol, it was taking those pieces and really making them a part of your life. All that practice was I was an athlete most of my life. And so that was for me, I was going to practice.
Right.
I was going to practice, and so writing these things out when things come up, learning the thought work protocol. And I remember you saying you're going to know the thought work protocol and you'll be able to do it in your head. And I was like, yeah, right. There's no way I'm going to be able to do this. Oh no. Yeah, you can.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. It happens all the time. And I think because of that aspect of really learning how to come home to yourself, how to love yourself truly and really get to know who you are, once you experience that, once you walk through that, there ain't no turning back. There's no turning back. You're like, why would I go pick up those old thought patterns and behaviors that weren't serving me?
Right.
When I have all of this beautiful work that I've done to get me to where I am now, I let that carry me through. And so you want to continue on. And so that's how it shows up for me. I've continued doing the work. I mean, things come up for me all the time.
Yeah.
You know, and I feel like we're always learning, we're always growing.
Yeah.
And now I have the tools.
Yeah.
And this is something that I shared with one of my patients the other day, and I use this work in my practice. And I was sharing that with them, you know, that we as clinicians, as medical providers, you know, we're taught Western medicine, and are like, hey, you show up, you have these symptoms, here's this medication.
Right.
And I know for myself, that didn't work for me.
Mm-hmm.
I went through that experience. My therapist referred me to a psychiatrist, and I walk in the psychiatrist's office and he hands me a handout. And I'm like, what is this? I'll fill it out.
Right.
And doesn't talk to me at all. Asked me no questions, saw my score and said, take this medication.
Oh.
And I was like, okay. I just walked out and I was like, nope, this is not what I wanted. This is not what I asked for. I was hoping for someone to talk to me, to tell me how to deconstruct this, how to treat this.
Right.
And then I learned the thought work protocol. And so in sharing that too with my patients, it's been so interesting because, I mean, I always point them to your podcast. I'm like, hey, you need to listen to this. Start from the beginning. But, you know, I know that essentially cognitive behavioral therapy, if we want to give it a name, you know, for that realm. Yeah. To really help us to see, what are we thinking? How are we showing up?
Right. Right.
You know, that was what I understood for myself of that need.
Yeah, that's beautiful. What else would you say about what the transformation was like in concrete ways once you were inside the program, now that you're in the alumni program? What are the things that are different about Ali's beautiful life?
So many good things. I walked around for so long feeling lonely and feeling like I wasn't seen, like I wasn't heard, like I wasn't loved. And I don't know where life is taking me, but what I know for sure is that I am so loved. I am so held. I am so safe. And I am witnessing that the healing that I've been doing is healing so many people within my world. I'm getting a front row seat of that. And that's priceless to me.
Yeah. Can you say more about that?
Specifically on what?
Yeah, I just feel like, I don't know, examples are so helpful when we're new to this work. You know, it's like, okay, what does it mean that as I become more embodied through somatic practices, as I think and feel and act differently using thought work, I feel more healed, and that ripples out. Like, I talk so much about that, right? How this work is healing, yes, for ourselves, but to also remember that we're pack animals. We're here to be in community. We need to co-regulate with each other. Yeah. So I know how it's, you know, the massive changes in my relationships that have happened because I don't come to them with grasping anymore.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. Just hold it.
Yeah. Just hold it. I was actually talking with a friend yesterday who was like, oh, I just want him to be different. And I shared the example that I share in Anchored all the time of my dad, who is completely amazing. I love Victoria Albina so much. And he is the gruff guy that he is, you know? And like, I don't call him asking for emotional support because that's not what he has to offer. I call him, he goes, hey, Vic, here, I ate a steak. There's weather. I'm reading a book. I hate the book I'm reading, but I started it. I got to finish it. Right? Like,
yeah.
He's a love bug, but he's him.
Yeah.
Right?
Gosh, I have examples for days.
Hit me up.
You know, for me, like I had a non-existent relationship with both my parents.
Yeah.
From very early on, they both were nowhere to be found.
Yep.
With my dad, my relationship with my dad and witnessing what has happened over the past year and a half, it's been beautiful. He and I had such a strained relationship. And I think it stemmed from him not understanding me not understanding him. And of course, as a child, they don't want to tell you things. They were told not to tell you things.
Right. And Latinidad plays a part in this too, right?
100%. You know, my dad, he's a machista. And he owns that now. But he told me, Ali, you're going to cook, you're going to clean, you're going to help your stepmom. That's what you're going to do. Yeah. I'm like, oh, Dad, but I have homework. No, you have dishes to wash. Hey, but I have practice. No, you're going to stay home and help take care of your siblings. And I'm the second oldest, and my brother was just off doing his own thing. And so there I was like, okay, I guess the responsibility falls on me. Yeah. And that was the story. Yep. That was the story.
Oh, yeah.
You're going to be raised to be a housewife. And I know that from our culture, for most of our Latino culture, you know, that's what women are taught. But I understand as well that kind of is in a lot of cultures.
Yeah. Pretty universal in a lot of ways.
Yeah. You know, and so as a woman, you get silenced and you don't get to ask for anything and you just do as you're told. And so I think I had that inner child that was like, no, you're not going to do that. We're going to go to school. We're going to be smart. We're going to make something of ourselves. And I always challenged that. And we were always fighting. My dad was always like, you were so stubborn, but he can see why now. He really was adamant about me not going to school and me staying home and really just keeping me in this box. And to get older and to realize, I had to make my own way is what ended up happening. I was out of the house when I was 15 and I went on my own journey. Yeah. And flash forward several years later, I was like 27, questioning everything that was going on in my life. And I was like, hey, Dad, let's go on a trip to Mexico. Wow. Just you and me.
Wow.
Yeah. To go from like not having really any relationship whatsoever. I would check in with him maybe like once a year, once every 2 to 3 months. And he was like, yeah, let's go. And we went to Mexico and we went to Guadalajara, Puerto Vallarta, Michoacan, and we traveled around on buses. And I kept telling him, like, I really want to experience my own culture because guess what? I don't know anything about being Mexican. No clue.
I see.
You know, and to be at that age and to not know that part of you don't know where you fit in. And so we went on that trip and I started asking questions. But even after that, I still didn't feel really connected to him. And so in doing this work with Anchored and really coming to that place of having compassion for your parent, that they were doing the best that they could. Yeah. I think that's where I started to see that healing that I was doing within myself was really to see a different part of him. Yeah. And recently I dislocated my shoulder and I didn't call him. I called a friend. And it wasn't until I was getting home from the hospital that I called. And he came over and he was here with my stepmom and they were making me dinner and asking me what I needed. And I was like, I'm not used to this.
Yeah, sure.
Right. And to say, like, I'm 33 and I've not ever had a parent show up for me like that. Yeah. Whoa. Yeah. And every day, my shoulder I had one arm. He was bringing me dinner every single day, checking in on me. And I just,
Yeah. Well, I think people can, I know people can feel it because interoception in the nervous system, right? Like when we are moving towards them with love and care, compassion, acceptance, understanding.
Correct.
Right. And when we are showing up from our full open hearts, it creates so much more space for them to be themselves.
Yes.
Right. Like I didn't realize how critical and judgmental and like not compassionate and understanding I was with my parents before doing this work, because I was taking what I saw as their faults and failures personally.
Yes.
And I was making it about me instead of seeing them as like humans humaning along the friggin' best they could, given in my case, that they grew up in Argentina under constant dictatorship, constant coups, all this, all the constant crisis.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And adding to that, all their own family drama and all the codependency there. Like,
yeah.
And I want to say to people listening who are like, just let me say this clearly. I'm never saying you need to forgive if you don't want to. Acceptance is so different from condoning, right? It's not saying harms that were caused, oh, it's okay. We're not putting some like positive vibes only, spiritual bypassing, emotional bypassing brush on this. No. But what we are saying is bringing in acceptance, right? Like they are who they are. Some of their actions may have been incredibly painful for me, may continue to be, and I can grow with love and in love. And I can accept, right? And have compassion and care for where they're coming from. For me, I can give myself some closure around that relationship. Yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely. And that's work. And that's just one relationship. Right. The relationship with my mom, is more on that spectrum of I have to set boundaries. I have to set boundaries. If I don't, then I'm dysregulated.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
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 With my friendships, those have really, really blossomed so much. I feel like because I understand what holding space means, I'm not showing up and needing from them. I can be there for them and show up and really just experience the friendships. And even in dating now, I actually had an amazing date recently. And it was because of that, because I was able to show up just with love for myself and the other, that they can be their most authentic self. And I don't have to take anything personal.
I love that. Yeah, we don't have to take responsibility for other people, right?
Yeah.
From love and care.
Correct. Yeah.
As we wrap up, my darling, what would you say to someone who is having some nervousness or trepidation about joining the program, who's never invested in themselves, invested their time, their money, their energy, their hope? What would you say to that person who's like, wait, should I join Anchored?
If you're feeling disconnected from yourself, if you're questioning at all why you're not feeling better, why you still are outsourcing so much, why you're confused about who you are, if you want to know more, choose yourself. Choose yourself. This is the time. We're so taught as women to continue on, or to tend to this, to tend to that, to take care of the kids, to make everything look perfect, but inside we're like, I think that's the call right there. I think that those feelings that are within you are really asking you, your body's telling you, hey, choose me, love me, learn me. That is you. And once you do, it's all uphill, baby. It's all up from there.
Yeah. I love that. Ay, gracias mil, Alicita. Ay, mi amor.
You. Oh, thank you so much.
Oh, I'm so grateful for the honor and the privilege to know you, to walk this healing journey alongside you, to get to witness you blossoming and growing and coming into your own in such a powerful and inspiring way. I am just, I'm hermana. I'm so grateful. So thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. I can't even begin to tell you how much I appreciate you. I really want to thank you so much for being the vessel through which really brought me back home to me.
Receiving that.
That really is more than I could have ever asked for. I didn't walk into Anchored. I was like, I don't know, but I'm going to do this.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm so glad that I did.
Me too.
And you make it easy. You do. You make it easy to just, all right, I'm ready for it, you know? And so, yeah, I really hope that through this conversation that others can get some healing too, and can learn about their beautiful selves and know that they are loved.
Yeah. I
So
love
thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for listening, my tender ravioli. And thanks again to Ali for sharing her experience getting anchored in herself. So inspiring. So beautiful. Really, the transformation she has made in her life is nothing short of breathtaking. If you are ready to make the kind of change in your life that Ali shared about making in hers, if you are ready to live a life of profound self-love and self-care, to be of service in a new way in the world, to give from your overflow, now is the time to join us for Anchored. The next group starts August 9th, 2022, and it's filling up fast. So if you have been listening to the show and coming to my webinars, and if you're interested in Anchored and you've been waiting for that perfect time, take it from Ali. The perfect time is now. Head on over to victoriaalbina.com/anchored to learn more and to apply now. I cannot wait to connect and to welcome you to the Anchored Familia. Now, let's do what we do. Gentle hand on your heart should you feel so moved. And remember, you are safe, you are held, you are loved. And when one of us heals, we help heal the world. Be well, my beauty. I'll talk to you soon. If you've been enjoying the show and learning a ton, it's time to apply it with my expert guidance so you can live life with intention without the anxiety, overwhelm, and resentment, so you can get unstuck. You're not going to want to miss the opportunity to join my exclusive, intimate group coaching program. So head on over to victoriaalbina.com/masterclass to grab your seat now. See you there. It's going to be a good one.